Between 2007 and 2016, Elizabeth Wettlaufer, a former nurse, murdered 8 elderly patients and attempted to harm 6 others in southwestern Ontario. She was sentenced to life in prison in 2017 for the murders, making her one of Canada's most prolific serial killers. The case sparked widespread public outrage and made international headlines. It led to lawsuits against Wettlaufer and the nursing homes she worked for, as well as a broad provincial investigation into flaws in Ontario's long-term care system. But what happened when Elizabeth was brought into the interrogation room? Wettlaufer began working at the Woodstock Crescent Care nursing home in June 2007. She started killing patients there a few months later. Wettlaufer typically worked the night shift and was primarily in charge of medication dispensing. At her place of work, she murdered 7 of her 8 victims. Wettlaufer committed her crimes while taking insulin, a diabetes medication that reduces blood sugar levels. When administered in excess, it can result in a coma or death. Because insulin overdoses are difficult to detect, victims' families initially assumed that their loved ones died naturally. Wettlaufer described a red surge before the killings and a laughing feeling after the murders in a 2.5-hour videotaped confession to police. She also claimed that God was telling her to kill. In one instance, she thought her victim was no longer enjoying life. Wettlaufer also used insulin injections to commit 4 alleged murders and 2 serious assaults against patients in her care, in addition to the 8 murder charges. So I just want to go through, like I said, a couple of formalities and cover a few little things. If you wish to speak to a lawyer at any time, we can make it happen whenever. Liz Wettlaufer's rights are read to her before the interrogation begins. Liz has the right to hire a lawyer as well as the right to remain silent. However, it appears unlikely that she will exercise either of these rights as her detective asks a few questions to get to know her. Back at Metal Park, what was your addiction? Hydromorphone. And how much were you using? I was a binge user, so I would use what I could to get hold of by stealing it from patients. As we previously stated, she worked in a nursing facility and had access to all of her patients' medications. Liz had been stealing hydromorphone, a strong painkiller that's comparable to morphine, and using it secretly to deal with stress for years. But it turned out that addiction wasn't her only mental health problem. So as far as related position acts go, St. Elizabeth, yeah, that was your last position as a correct okay, and you said you resigned from there. Yeah, okay, what? What brought you to that? Are those not 2 things that drive you a little crazy? Okay, this is the part that I haven't told the doctors. When my ex and I broke up in 2007, I was already taking medication for my borderline personality disorder. And I was so angry, and it was like a voice said it inside me. I'll use you, don't worry about it. Liz had borderline personality disorder for many years and had taken medication to try to suppress it. This meant she hadn't let it affect her much, at least not until 2007 when everything changed horribly. Wettlaufer injected insulin into sisters Clotilde Adriano and Albina de Medeiros between June 25 and December 31, 2007. Wettlaufer's first victims were 2 Crescent Care residents. The doses were not fatal, and neither of their deaths was attributed to Wettlaufer. Adriano passed away in 2008 and de Medeiros in 2010. Wettlaufer was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault in January 2017 for the injections. Wettlaufer committed her first murder on August 11, 2007 in Crescent, when she administered enough insulin to kill 84-year-old James Silcox. Wettlaufer also murdered Crescent residents Maurice Granite, 84, Gladys Millard, 87, Helen Matheson, 95, Mary Zurowinski, 96, Helen Young, 90, and Maureen Pickering, 79, between December 2007 and March 2014. Wettlaufer was dismissed from Crescent days after murdering Pickering for a series of medication mistakes, including giving insulin to one patient when it was prescribed for another. Crescent had suspended her several times before firing her. Wettlaufer moved between facilities after Crescent until she retired from nursing in 2016. Wettlaufer was first interviewed by Toronto police on September 29, 2016. The following day, she resigned from her nursing position with the College of Nurses. Wettlaufer, 49, was taken into custody on October 24, 2016. The killings shocked and horrified the public after Woodstock law enforcement released details the following day.